Name, M. Rafli.s NPM, 22,411,158 Class, Management 22B In-depth understanding of tax assessment letters, SKP, and tax bills, STP Introduction to SKP and STP Tax Assessment Letter, SKP. SKP is an official document issued by the Directorate General of Taxes, DGT, stating the amount of tax to be paid by a taxpayer based on the results of a tax audit or calculation. SKP includes information such as type of tax imposed, tax base, amount of tax payable, payment due date, tax bill. STP. STP is a document issued by the tax authority instructing the taxpayer to pay the amount of tax owed after the SKP is issued. STP is usually issued in conditions where the taxpayer does not pay tax within the specified time. SKP functions. Main functions of SKP: tax obligation notification. SKP informs taxpayers about the tax obligations they must pay, thereby encouraging awareness and compliance. Basis for appeal. SKP provides a basis for taxpayers to file objections or appeals against the amount of tax determined if they feel the determination is unfair or wrong. Legal document. SKP serves as legal evidence that can be used in tax disputes, so it is important to understand the contents and reasons for its determination. Encouraging compliance. By stating obligations and deadlines, SKP serves to encourage taxpayers to fulfill their tax obligations on time. Basis for preparing financial reports. SKP can be used as a reference in preparing company financial reports that are appropriate and in accordance with tax provisions. Types of SKP. Types of SKP based on tax type. SKP for income tax, PPH, issued to regulate income tax for both individuals and business entities. Example: if a company reports lower income than it should, the DGT can issue an SKP based on the correct calculation. SKP for value added tax, VAT, issued to assess the value added tax payable based on goods and services transactions. Example: if a company does not report all sales transactions, the DGT can issue an SKP for the VAT owed. SKP for land and building tax, PBB, issued for taxes imposed on land and building ownership. Example: if a taxpayer owns multiple properties, the SKP will detail the taxes owed for each property. SKP for other taxes. There are various other types of taxes that can also be issued with an SKP, such as motor vehicle tax or advertising tax. Example: tax imposed on businesses that use heavy equipment in construction projects. SKP correction process. SKP correction. If a taxpayer feels that the SKP received is inaccurate, they have the right to request a correction. Here are the steps in the SKP correction process. Submitting an objection. Taxpayers must submit a written objection to the DGT within the specified time period, usually 30 days after the SKP is received. Example: taxpayers can state the reasons for the objection, such as an error in the tax calculation. Attaching evidence. Taxpayers must attach evidence that supports their claim, such as financial statements, transaction documents, or proof of previous tax payments. Reassessment by the DGT. The DGT will review the objection and evidence submitted, and if deemed valid, the DGT can issue a revised SKP. If the DGT rejects the objection, the taxpayer can appeal to the tax court. Impact of correction. If the SKP is revised, the amount of tax owed will change according to the results of the reassessment. This can be beneficial or detrimental to the taxpayer. Case study of tax assessment correction. Case study: taxpayer case, PTXYZ. Background: PTXYZ received a tax assessment stating an income tax of Rp 500,000,000, but they believed that the tax that should have been paid was only Rp 300,000,000 based on their financial statements. Steps taken: file an objection. PTXYZ filed an objection within 30 days of receiving the tax assessment. Attach evidence: they attached financial statements and transaction evidence showing lower income. Reassessment: the DGT reviewed and ultimately decided that the correct tax amount was Rp 300,000,000. Result: the initially issued tax assessment was revised to Rp 300,000,000, and PTXYZ no longer had an obligation to pay additional tax. Conclusion: SKP and STP are integral parts of the tax system that help regulate taxpayers' tax obligations. Understanding the functions and types of tax assessments helps taxpayers fulfill their obligations and avoid problems later on. The SKP correction process provides a way for taxpayers to correct errors and ensure fairness in